So President Trump has been having a pretty bad week so far. And so, as usual, he takes to Twitter to lash out. So now I've got a fun little tweet storm, which ended up spawning the hashtag Morning Psycho, which is great. So now, again, I want to read you these tweets. Let's start out with the ones where he goes after the media. And this is fairly normal. First, he went after Paul Krugman. He said, Paul Krugman of the fake news New York Times has lost all credibility. Okay, well, look, I have issues with Paul Krugman, but I don't think he's lost all credibility. As has the Times itself, with his false and highly inaccurate writings on me. He's obsessed with hatred, just as others are obsessed with how stupid he is. Wait, what? He said market would crash, only record highs. The only record highs. Oh boy. Okay, so now look, I don't really. Okay, so right now, economically, I guess things are going okay. It could be far worse, but we have an issue. We have a bubble, the student loan bubble, actually. So now, student loan debt has hit $1.5 trillion. Now, does the Republican Party have any plans to do anything about that? No, their plan is, well, you took out that money. That's your problem. Well, now, if that bubble bursts, that's going to be devastating for the overall economy. Now, Elizabeth Warren has a plan on that. Progressives have a plan on that. It even involves how to pay for it. But the Republicans, they don't have a plan. They're just, I don't know, more tax cuts for the rich. Wow. But he's going to continue, of course. He said, I wonder if the New York Times would apologize to me a second time, as they did after the 2016 election. But this one will have to be a far bigger and better apology. On this one, they will have to get down on their knees and beg for forgiveness. They are truly the enemy of the people. Now, it's funny. I love how he's talking about how New York Times, like, he's talking as if the New York Times is a person, right? The New York Times has to get down on their knees and beg me for forgiveness. And for what exactly? Ridiculous, right? No, the guy's lost it. He doesn't need to apologize to you. Now, thing is, the New York Times did a wrong story, right? Or got their facts wrong. We all expect them to come out and issue a correction, and they've done so before, right? Now, that's on their straight reporting. Now, when it comes to opinion is completely different than other reporting. And so the New York Times has an opinion section where they can say basically their opinion, right? And so they don't need to apologize for their opinion pieces. Even I have disagreed a lot with their opinion pieces, especially when it comes to progressives or Bernie Sanders and something like that. But no, they don't do that, right? But you know, Fox News doesn't do that or anything like that. Right-wing media never apologizes, but the New York Times does. And so let's be fair about that, right? And they get things wrong. We all get things wrong. I hear you. But the problem with Trump is that he considers their factual reporting as a personal attack. He cannot take criticism at all. And so basically, I mean, he's got a very, very thin skin, which is why in that same thread, he actually promoted his own TV shows after he, of course, went after the ones that he doesn't like that criticize him. Now, he said, sorry to say, but Fox and Friends is by far the best of the morning political shows on television. It rightfully has by far the highest ratings, not even close. Morning Psycho, Joe, who helped get me elected in 2016 by having me on free all the time, has nosedived. Too angry, dumb, and sick. A really bad show with low ratings, and it will only get worse. CNN has been proven a long-term ratings and beyond disaster. In fact, it rewarded Chris Cuomo with a now unsuccessful primetime slot, despite his massive failure in the morning, only on CNN. Wow. Morning Psycho. I don't know. I think somebody has earned that name, but it's not Joe Scarborough. No, seriously. Okay, so you guys know I have issues with CNN and MSNBC. I'm not a fan of those two networks. I think that they are too establishment friendly, and they're too interested in calling things even. And look, MSNBC, by the way, You watch MSNBC. For one, I'm sorry for you. For two, all you're going to hear about is Russia. I mean, I'm not kidding. They talk about Russia more than anything. So that's ridiculous, right? Well, in this case, there was actually no conspiracy to work with Russia for the election. I know that blows people's mind, right? For the Democratic apologists in here, the establishment people in here, I'm sorry. No, but they did not find any criminal conspiracy with Donald Trump and Russia. Now, they found tons of obstruction, 10 counts of obstruction of justice, in which Mueller basically punted over to Congress for them to take care of, right? Now, Congress, and we've had this discussion already, I don't think Congress is going to do anything, and that's sad. But anyway, again, I've got a big problem with those networks. Now, I also have a big problem with Fox News because Fox News is straight up pro-Trump propaganda. And during the election, let's be honest, right? Joe, it is true that Morning Joe was giving Donald Trump tons of free airtime. You know who else was giving Donald Trump free airtime? CNN. So the media itself gave Trump millions of dollars in free advertising. So it is kind of their fault in a way that President Trump is President Trump. So we're being completely 100% fair and honest on this, right? The media holds culpability, and part of that is Hillary Clinton's, basically her Pied Piper strategy. And that's what it was. Elevate Donald Trump through the media so then we can knock him down. Okay. Now, that said, right? Does he still watch CNN and MSNBC? Of course he does. He wouldn't rage so much about it if he didn't. But you can see that he loves Fox News, hates Morning Joe. So now, that explains that part of the tweet storm. But now, let's go back to more tweet storms. This time he goes after the Democrats, specifically. He said the radical left Democrats, together with their leaders in the fake news media, have gone totally insane. Okay. I guess that means the Republican agenda is working. Stay tuned for more. Two things on that, right? Totally insane is not doing a massive angry tweet thread. But again, we're dealing with Morning Psycho here. And as far as the Republican agenda, what is that anyway? What's the Republican agenda? Basically, what we've seen is tax cuts for the rich. Turns out the tax cuts for the rich are deeply unpopular. Turns out didn't actually help the American people. Sad. Now, what else? What else? What did the Republicans do? Now, under Trump, I know they did a lot of executive orders basically to help out corporations and to go after immigrants. And so, well, those things not as popular and also not great for the country. Now, the other thing that they had actually tried to do was rip health insurance away from 30 million people. Now, how did that go? Not well. And now, following the Mueller report, the president's approval ratings, and the Republican Party in general, look, we saw what happened during the midterms. You had 40 seats that went to the Democrats in the House. That kind of shows you how unpopular the Republicans' policy positions actually are. Whereas, of course, you have progressives that have the most popular policy positions. So it's pretty bad for the Republicans. So I would say that tweet is very inaccurate. But there's more. One more tweet here. He said, in the old days, if you were president and you had a good economy, you were basically immune from criticism, which it shouldn't be. And actually, that would be the bad old days. I don't think the president should get sole criticism or sole praise for the economy. But he continues, remember, it's the economy, stupid. Today I have, as president, perhaps the greatest economy in history, and to the mainstream media, it means nothing, but it will. It's not just the mainstream media that it means little to. It's also to the regular person. As you can see in the polls, despite what he claims is a great economy, and there are certain good parts for certain people, most of the people still rate you incredibly low. So this is actually a good development as far as people not necessarily putting all the economic gain or economic situation on the president, because it's not just the president that does it. It is actually Congress that has a really, really gigantic role in this. But as far as how good the economy is, well, it's really good for rich people. It's really good for bankers, health insurance, CEOs, etc., but not as great for regular people. Normal people are facing massive student loan debt, small retirement funds for retirees, large economic inequality between the rich and the poor, higher housing costs, stagnant wages, healthcare that's out of control. Again, if you're not rich, you're not really doing all that well. Now, does Trump see that? No, because he's got a bubble. And this bubble, he has basically placed it around himself. All he knows about is his money and his ego. That's all he cares about. And so he's not going to know that the economy is not actually serving everyone else. It's not actually serving the people that he claims to care about. So now, as far as who the morning psycho is, I think we've already established that it is the scared man-child sitting in the White House. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.